Welcome to Learning Now TV. Again, we're going to be talking to the third sector. We're in this series where we're speaking to people in the charity sector to learn what we can learn in the corporate world. Now, for me today, this is a real crossover. You may know that I'm lead volunteer for learning and development at Girlguiding. Now, I deal with all of our 109,000 volunteers, but I've got the privilege today to interview Mary Mackay and Naomi Hurrell, who are our peer educators. Naomi is staff member and Mary is a lead volunteer like me, and they've put a program together, a blended program together for our young people, and they're going to talk to us a little bit more about how we can learn when you've got little money and when you've got loads of enthusiasm, what you can do when it comes to a blended program. So Mari, talk to me about peer education. What even is that?
Yeah, so peer educators are young members aged 14 to 25 who run informative sessions for their peers, and that's on subjects that are important to young women today, so like body confidence, mental well-being and gender stereotypes. And they run these sessions for their peers, so that's brownies, guides and rangers, so that's our membership age 7 upwards.
Excellent. Naomi, so how have you got involved with peer education? Where did it come from? Why do you even get involved with that? What is it?
So I've been involved for a while as a staff member. I took on the role in 2013 and I've been sort of trying to help build peer education. If you want to become a peer educator, you've got quite an interesting start. Often it's when you've seen a session, you've had a peer educator come to your unit and they will do their session and you might be inspired to become one too. So you can go on our website and you can have a look online, and we've got an introduction to peer education e-learning.
Okay, stop you there. So you've got them, first of all, being enthused by other people.
Yeah.
And then once they're enthused by somebody else, and that doesn't necessarily mean they have to be enthused by somebody else, they may hear about this from other sources, and then they're going online. So you've put together this fantastic blended program, which is inspirational and different in Girlguiding, certainly nothing that we do for the adult volunteers at this stage. And the first thing they do is go online and do an e-learning.
Yep.
E-learning? It's a little bit boring, isn't it? Is this what young people want? Talk me through, what does your e-learning look like?
So we've made it quite interactive. We've made sure that there's lots of opportunities for them to find out those very basic pieces of information. We know that young people want to engage online first. They actually feel much more comfortable coming to websites and coming to interactive interfaces online than they do going to adults a lot of the time.
Okay, so you're meeting them where they are.
Yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so they've got this e-learning, they go through the e-learning. What happens next in your blended program?
So the next stage is they are going to be looking about for a skills training day. This is Peer Ed 101. It's your facilitation, your communication, it's your safeguarding as well. It's all of those really important nuts and bolts of peer education. So they get a ton of huge skills from that first day.
And that's face to face. Now, a lot of what we do in this segment on Learning Now TV is kind of help people to move away from face to face, because sometimes that's not necessarily useful for the charity sector. It's very expensive bringing people together, but you've decided to put that into your peer education program. Perhaps, Mary, you could talk to us about how does that benefit the people that come along to those days?
Yeah, so our young members really value embedding those skills and having time to practice and learn from each other. And that's what came out during our co-design event with our kind of key stakeholders and key volunteers who helped us design this whole blended learning approach. So they recognised the value of having that face-to-face training where volunteers and young people wanting to be peer educators could really practice those key skills. So we recognise that still was really important.
So it's a safe space.
Exactly.
It's a safe space for them to do the practicing. So they're introduced to the concepts, some of that's online, and then they're coming together in this safe environment so they can get some good practice in there. And you mentioned there that you co-designed it with the people that are actually going through it. Can you talk me through a little bit more of that, perhaps?
Yep, so we pulled together a task and finish group, which is what we call working groups at Girlguiding, and we recognised that there was lots of key people that would bring a lot of experience into that group. So we recruited a trainer into the group, we recruited existing peer educators, we recruited young people that had no idea about peer education, and and coordinators that support peer educators on the ground. So a lot of different people with different experience. And over 3 weekends, we designed the blended learning approach and really co-designed it with them, so they were creating it with us using their experience.
Really, really loving the fact that you got a whole diverse group of people together and what came out of that. I mean, I was really impressed the first time I saw that when I came into this lead volunteer role, and I was like, this is fantastic. This is not what I'm seeing in a lot of my corporate world, and you know, you're doing really great work. So you go from this e-learning, you go through the days, then they go away and do something on their own, or what's next?
There's a couple more online elements there. So we've linked across into our kind of organisational a safe space training. So they'll do bits and bobs of that, and that's partly online and chats with officials to make sure they've really got that down, got their kind of safe stuff down because of the topics we deal with. And then there's also a video then, and our first one is presented by Mary, who's an absolute star, and that's about the theory of the topics. That's a way of presenting that information in a fun way that isn't sitting down face to face and being lectured. It's about being able to present them with the information that they can come back to and really get to grips with what's going on with the theory of the next topic.
Excellent. Well, I'm curious to know how you know it's landed well, and you know, where are you in that now? The program's been running for a little while. Can you talk us through some of the sort of evaluation and the ideas around that?
Yeah, so we've got a proper, like, full-on evaluation is something that we need to look at in the future, and we've built in evaluation into each stage of it. So before the skills day, we do kind of our pre and our post evaluations, which are like obviously our bread and butter of evaluation there. We've got a lot of feedback from our trainers in particular that they think this is really strong, and the countries and regions. You might have a bit more experience of kind of what the on-the-day evaluation says for our actual training.
Yeah, so just to kind of build on Naomi's point, the trainers that are delivering it feel much more comfortable delivering a really robust blended learning approach. They know the direction that the trainings is going in, they know the structure, so that's really great feedback from our trainers. And on the ground, people feel prepared and ready to deliver peer education sessions. I've delivered a lot of trainings, and certainly the feedback that we're getting after the training event has been excellent. And we've seen real passion and enthusiasm from our volunteers, and a real willingness to kind of put in practice what they've learned at the training. So it's been great feedback.
And are you getting more and more peer educators coming through? Girls are really enjoying being part of this, and
yeah, I think the peer educators that we're getting and that are retaining are really passionate about peer education because they've gone through that whole approach. They've known what they're signing up for, they are passionate about it, they know what's involved, so they're more committed, which has been great for kind of our programme.
Yeah, and we've got some stats. When we reviewed our previous training, we knew that in 6 months after that training, we had 1 in 4 girls maybe delivering 1 session in that time. But the people that actually go out and deliver after this training, it's much more. They're achieving many more sessions as a result of it. So we can see a difference.
So the investment that they've got is landing better for you guys. Yeah. Excellent. So if there's one top tip that you could give Learning Now TV audience about moving to a blended approach, what would it be for you? What's the essence of the value?
I think you give people a chance to know what they're getting into before they get into it, and actually that's really important for their investment and buy-in to the programme ahead of committing to any big training course. So I think giving them a chance to know what you're actually doing in that way has been really powerful.
Yeah, and I think what's also been really useful is having those resources available for people to refresh and for people to go back to if they maybe have stopped delivering sessions for a while or just need a bit of a refresher and a bit of a reminder of the key points, and that's been really useful.
Cool. Well, thank you so much for telling your story. It's such a strong story. As you'll note there, for me, what's really powerful is the fact that they got stakeholders involved from the beginning. Never underestimate the value of getting people who will be your end users, but also those that need to buy in. The people in a room together to put together a programme which really worked because of, as Murray says, the fact you can go back to it. You're not expecting people to remember. This story for me is really the essence of why a blended programme will always be way more successful than just 2 days in a classroom together. So until next time on Learning Now TV, thanks very much to Girlguiding, and I look forward to hearing your stories on social. Follow me at MIPS1608 and Learning Now TV, and don't forget, of course, the Charity Learning Consortium as well. Let's have a a conversation about a blend in your organisation and what we can learn from each other. Until next time, thank you.